Hey, what's going on guys? My name is Braden. Today I will be reviewing my very own 2007 Honda Accord. First we'll start with an overview of the outside, then we'll show you a little bit of the inside and I'll show you what's under the hood as well. Take a look at the trunk and then I'll take it for a drive. See you then. Starting off, I'm going to talk about the looks of the car, and I think it's pretty boring, to be honest. It's my own car actually, and I might as well be biased towards it, or at least against it, if that makes any sense at all. But in my opinion, it's just a car. It looks like a car. It does car things, but it doesn't look too special. It has that friendly early 2000s roundish shape to it, and that's about it. And that's all I can really say styling wise. There's nothing too special about it, but it does its job as a commuter car. And this, by the way, is the 7th generation Honda Accord, which can also be optioned as a coupe with a V6 engine in it. Now, unfortunately, I have the sedan version, which has the inline 4, but it still gets the job done. And then one thing I want to point out with my car actually is with the V6 models, you can have 2 exhaust tips. Now, this is the inline 4, which only has 1 exhaust sticking out right now. But with the V6 models, there are 2 exhaust tips coming out. And I guess I don't know if they were cutting corners or not with my model, but there's actually a bit of a cutout right here, as you can see, that would fit the other exhaust tip. But I don't know why they either didn't fully pop it out or just leave it uncut, but that's just a little issue with my car. And then another thing I want to mention actually is with my car is it's from 2007 and it has LED tail lights. Let me jump in and show you real quick. Now let's jump into the front seats and talk about comfort and materials. So one, let's get this out of the way. The seats are pretty comfortable for a standard commuter car. Nothing to really complain about. I have a lot of headroom up here and a lot of leg room down below. Now the materials that are in my car actually aren't that, good in other people's opinions, but I actually prefer cloth material. And this material right here is just a dark gray cloth material. Nothing too special about it, no special designs or anything on it, but it gets the job done. It doesn't get too hot or too cold whenever the weather changes, and that's kind of why I prefer cloth materialed seats. And then adjustment wise for the seats, you don't have anything special, nothing electronic in this model at least. You have the pull bar that adjusts the seating level, which is pretty common in cars of this price range. And then you also don't have a seat adjustment on this side either, nothing electric, but it's just a little lever that can pull back and comes up forward whenever you need it to. And again, you have the same controls and everything on the driver's side too, nothing electric, so you're not really missing out on much or gaining anything really. One thing I want to mention though that's actually really common with all of these standard commuter cars is the amount of plastic that's in them really, and you get what you pay for pretty much. But I can say I have a special edition, I guess, performance package or whatnot, and it has a very realistic set of carbon fiber plastics, and I can say that my car is now fast. Aside from all the plastic materials and everything, you basically just get the bare bones and the gauge cluster and everything. You got your tachometer on the left, speedometer in the middle, and then all your other gauges on the right side. Nothing too special there. The steering wheel itself looks like it's been ripped apart by Wolverine. This was actually the previous owner's doing. I don't notice any rubber peeling off or anything on my end, and I haven't noticed anything peeling off for the 5 to 6 years that I've actually owned this car, so I'm not entirely sure what the previous owners have been cooking up. Also with the steering wheel in the middle, you just get plastic generic materials, and then on the left side you have your volume and other radio controls, and on the right side of the steering wheel you have your cruise controls, which are pretty common. And then on the left side of the gauge cluster you'll see a climate control vent for the driver's side, and then 3 blank buttons below that. Now on this model I don't really know why they left them blank, because in other models that's where the traction control buttons and everything else went. But in my model, they are just blank and they don't push in or have any function at all. And then in the middle, you have just 2 generic climate control vents, one for the passenger, one for the driver, or vice versa, however you want to combine those 2. And then between those, you have a nice little clickable hazard light system that Has a nice satisfying click in my opinion, and it's kind of fun to press when I'm not doing really anything. Below that, you'll have your radio and disc changer system. On the left, you have your AM, FM, CD aux input. Now, with the aux button, actually, there is no aux input, and you have to install it. They didn't have an input anywhere in this car for that, so you have to go through a tedious task of doing it yourself and installing that input. Then you have your seek skip button below that, and on the right side you have some buttons which I honestly have no idea I do not know what RPT means, I do not know what ASEL RDM means, but I do know what tune means, and that's how you change the station on the radio. Now I do prefer a little dial for that, something I can turn, but I'll have to live with the buttons for now. Now between all those buttons you just have a little tiny screen thingy that shows the clock and the radio station that you're on, and that's basically it. And then below the little screen thing you just have a little control panel for your CDs and whatnot if you're cool and like to listen to CDs. And then one thing I'm pretty happy to have in this car is a turn knob volume control, which we don't really get in newer cars. It's all implemented into the screen and everything, and I just prefer having something manual to turn. And then the remaining buttons and dials in here are just for the climate control. On the left dial you have your fan speed, on the right dial you have your temperature control. Then you have your AC on and off button, circulation and rear defroster. And then the row of stuff below that is just the position on which the air comes out of. And then moving down the line and everything coming down here, you have a very realistic carbon fiber pattern piece of plastic which you can just push in, and it reveals a cool little storage cubby for whatever your storage cubby needs. And then below the storage cubby you have not an ashtray. It says not an ashtray in big bold letters, but who's gonna stop you from using it as an ashtray? To the right of the not ashtray, you just have a cigarette lighter thing for your power outlets and whatnot, charging whatever, basic stuff. And then right here you obviously have your shifter, which works perfectly fine as any other normal automatic shifter does. Now I did forget to mention that this does have a 5-speed automatic transmission. None of that CVT stuff just yet, but I'm pretty happy with the 5-speed automatic. And then below that you have your cup holders and your parking brake right here, and I actually prefer the pullback parking brakes compared to the newer, more modern push button parking brakes, just because this is actually more fun to pull up and down. And then moving to the center right here, we have our center storage area, which is common in pretty much any car these days. On the left there's actually a little pulling option. You can open up the top half portion, and there's a little spot for coins and booklets and stuff. I just noticed I spit on my chair. Also in this little compartment is a cool little spot for a Sharpie or a pen. You can just click it in there, and it's actually kind of satisfying. I just learned about it yesterday when I did my first take of this video. And then if you pull open this right side lever, you get access to the rest of the compartment. Now you can fit books and stuff in there, whatever you want to put in your storage containers, it'll fit. And then on the passenger side, you have a standard lockable glove box, which opens up like normal and closes like normal. And then you have one last climate control vent up in the front, and that's really all the climate control vents you get in the car. Nothing in the back, nothing on the back end of this storage container. That's pretty much just it. And then looking up above, we have our standard glasses holder, which pops up and down and moves slow and cool and all that. And you have 2 map lights right here, which come on with the push of a button. And we just have your standard sun visors, which come down and can fold out like that for whatever you need. And then on the driver's side door, you have pretty much all your standard controls and whatnot. You have all your window switches, your mirror controls, door locks and window locks and whatnot. Nothing too special there, but around those controls is the very realistic carbon fiber pattern. And on the passenger side door, we don't get a whole lot actually. We just have the standard door lock and the window switch. But again, it is surrounded by the very realistic and high performance carbon fiber. And then on both the driver and passenger side doors, we have a speaker down below, and then also a little storage container for water and booklets and receipts and trash, basically. Okay, now sitting in the back seats and everything, I can say that they are almost as comfortable as the front seats, but we don't really have much capability other than sitting down back here and looking around. And then we do have some pretty awesome and cool back seat pouches right here that can hold trash and whatever your friends shove back there. In the center right here, we have our standard cup holder pull down system, jigamaroo, whatever you want to call it. Got a smaller cup holder here and a bigger cup holder right on the side. I don't know why they made them separate sizes, but I'm not the multi-billion-dollar Honda company. And then right back here, we actually have a lockable trunk compartment area that we can just pull down and stick a piece of wood or a pipe or something in if we need to transport something that we can't fit in our trunk fully. And then similar to the front doors and everything, we have our standard door storage area. We have a door handle, which is obviously there so you can get out of the car. And you just have a window switch, which is surrounded by the very cool and realistic carbon fiber. And I guess the last thing to mention back here is just a little light right in the middle of the roof right here that you can flip on and off, and that's about it. And then accessing the trunk is pretty easy. All you gotta really do is just hold down the button on the key fob and it pops right open. And then the 2007 Honda Accord is pretty capable of holding just about anything, such as 80 white t-shirts and some lawn chairs and a kickball and tools that you need for fixing a flat tire. And I guess speaking of flat tires and everything, it does come equipped with a spare tire. All you gotta do is pull up this special compartment right here and you can see the spare tire is located right below it. And then on the bottom right side of the trunk, we actually have access to a car jack, which is included with the 2007 Accord. All you gotta do is flip that little switch right there and pull open this very flimsy plastic opening, and there's your jack. And then one last little special feature I wanna go on about my car is actually just the capability to roll down all the windows without really being in the car or having the car on. Now all you really have to do this is actually just press the unlock button once on the key and then press it down again and hold it until all the windows go down. Pretty cool. As I stated earlier in this video, what's under the hood in my car is an inline 4 or the K24, and it produces 166 horsepower. Now this can be optioned with a V6 and a manual transmission. Now as much as I would have appreciated a V6 and a manual transmission in a car, this is kind of the only option I had in my sophomore year of high school, especially for the price of $5,000. I'd say this is a steal. But now that's out of the way, let's go for a drive. So we are now going to start driving my car, which is something I do pretty much every day now. Ignore the fact that the check engine light is on. That's just a knock sensor that I need to get replaced. But I'll shift it into drive and everything. It shifts, fine into gear. And we'll just get going, making sure that I don't hit any kids or anything. But yeah, there's really nothing too special about driving this car. I mean, it's just a car. I need to turn that off just in case it's blasting and everything. But yeah, there's nothing too special about driving this car. It's just an average commuter car and everything. There's no real, performance-y, high performance aspects about this car and everything. It's just a car. And it's honestly just kind of a boring driving experience. I prefer something with some more speed, I would think. This gets the job done and everything. It gets you from point A to point B is all. It's really just the thing. Some car behind me is driving like a turbo maniac. What do you want, idiot? I'm going right. Average Hyundai driver. So driving this car right now, there's really nothing too special about it. I mean, it gets you from point A to point B. It's a commuter car. It's a Honda Accord. It's not, meant to be fast or anything. It drives really well and everything, but it's not as exciting as I would want a car to be. But non-biased me will say it works. It drives fine. It's really good. Miles per gallon is really good for what I paid. I bought this car for $5,000, and I'm just really happy to own it and everything. But somewhere down the line, I will be looking at upgrading to something a little faster. Let's say maybe if I am more financially capable of buying something, I would want maybe one of the new Nissan Zs or maybe one of the new Mustangs, I would think. I think the newest generation of Mustangs look really good. Or maybe even a 2018 Accord Sport, just to get the job done with a little more pep. But yeah, turning this car and everything, it turns like a car would. It's, it has, the driver assist and everything. Well, not really driver assist, but it has a steering assist. I guess power steering is what it's called. That's basically the only thing assisting you, really. There's traction control and stuff, but that's honestly about it. And, driving this car, just imagine driving a car. There's really just nothing special about it. And I would take it onto the highway and everything, but that's not really what I'm going to do today. I do that too much. I'm going to be doing that driving home and everything. I have to get to my grandparents' house, actually, to grab another car to review, which is going to be a 2001 Chevy Tahoe. So look forward to that in the future. But basically, this car right now is a car of all time. And waiting in this traffic, I guess I will say that I am happy that this car is a 5-speed automatic rather than a CVT, because I drove my girlfriend's Nissan Sentra to Arizona recently, and driving that was just kind of not fun. Foot's to the floor. I mean, it goes after a while. It has the VTEC in it and everything, and so we will be getting higher performance in the higher RPMs. But again, this isn't a high performance car just because it has the VTEC in it. It's just, to summarize, it's a car. It drives, it works, it's fine, it's just not exciting. So this will actually just mark the end of the video, I guess. There isn't really too much to say else about driving this car. It's just a car. If you guys want to see more car reviews like this, I know this one was a little bit of a mess, but it was my very first car review, and just jumping into it and winging it was just something I needed to get done today. If you want to see more car reviews, just subscribe. I will be posting more consistently on this channel. And check out my gaming channel, Hexaberry. Yeah, other than that, look forward to a 2001 Chevy Tahoe review somewhere down the line. But this is where I will end the video. So, thanks for watching. See ya.